Good morning, guys, from San Felipe, Mexico. Today's video is going to be kind of different because we're going to show you around El Dorado Ranch. It's an expat community primarily. I'm sure there's a few, locals that live here, but it's an amazing option for people who are just looking to escape out of the United States for a short period of time, a long period of time. A lot of Canadians come down here. Just anybody who's looking for a little bit of a different lifestyle.
And make their dollar go farther.
Exactly, because it's very affordable. And there's many places like this throughout Mexico and Central America. But this is just one, and we're here, and we got the opportunity to share it with you, so why not? Okay, Bill, can you tell us a little bit about El Dorado Ranch?
Well, there's a lot to say, but basically we're a vacation / retirement resort in San Felipe, Baja, Mexico. Right now we're driving through our golf course community, which is down on the beach. We're located about 110 miles south of the border from Mexicali and Calexico, which makes us a convenient driving destination.
I noticed these look very much like, are they townhomes or are they standalone?
These are 4-unit condominium buildings.
4-plex buildings, okay.
Each individual owners. There's no timeshare here. This is all private property ownership.
Oh, so we're not going to get a 45-minute timeshare presentation?
No free serape either.
Looking forward to that part.
You got to pay for your tequila. The place evolved from more of an RV type destination back in the early 90s. A lot of your retired and semi-retired persons were selling their homes and getting rid of large living expenses and traveling around in motorhomes, and this became a destination for many of them, especially your snowbirds. Everybody's familiar with that word.
Exactly.
And it's grown and grown over the last 30 years to what we're looking at here today.
So there's a lot of people that just kind of have fears about coming down here, and what can you say to alleviate some of the fears? Because one of them is that you never own your land.
That is a technicality. The government came up with a tool, a bank trust. As a developing nation, it's easy to see that they don't want to sell their coastlands. That's your revenue generating property in your country for your ports and your tourism and so forth. Actually, you can own land inside 35 miles of the coast or 65 miles of an land border. So again, they're just trying to protect their borders and their coastlines. So what they did to protect the foreign investor was they created a law to where you can hold the ownership rights to the property through a Mexican bank trust, which works the same as a trust in the States. Legally, you don't own what's in the trust, however, you're the beneficiary of that item.
Correct.
You can sell it, you can rent it, you can will it to your children.
Is there a time limit on those trusts, or are they?
They're set up as 50-year trusts. And you have first rights renewal, or your heir, of course.
And what are the price ranges of properties here? I imagine these 4-unit condo-esque places are going to be on the lower end compared to a standalone house.
Well, the pricing depends on how you want to come into the situation. You can buy an undeveloped piece of property and suit your own needs. Or you can come in and buy a resale property. The company doesn't build spec homes at this time, but we do have a resale program to help our owners sell their properties. So we do have homeowners who are gotten older over the years or become ill or what have you, and they need to go back to the States for whatever personal reasons. And we'll help them sell their house. So you can buy anything from a $5,000 lot on the west side of the highway, which we'll be getting to shortly.
Now, is that $5,000 lot, does that include electricity and water?
That is self-contained. We have the largest solar communities in the Americas, as far as we know. A lot of our customers, again being snowbirds, weren't here in the summer, so they weren't burdened by having to run air conditioning.
Yeah.
And they found that solar power worked very efficiently for their needs here in the wintertime. So they would start off with a simple piece of property, build to suit, and operate self-contained. The green factor here, leaving a small footprint on Earth has become very important to a lot of people. So a lot of people appreciate that side of it. For people who have greater electric needs,
like air conditioning in those 6 months a year.
For example, yeah, if you're going to live here full time, you're going to want air conditioning in the summer.
Definitely.
So we do have lots across the highway also that do have city electric service. This side where we are in the golf course community, we have full city utilities. Lots on the golf course, you're starting 50 grand, something on the fairway, you're starting about 75. Those are relatively limited.
And that's just the lot.
Just the property itself, correct.
Okay. Now, are there HOA fees?
Yes, and they will vary depending on the community.
Okay. What is the range?
$630 on the other side of the highway, up to about $1,000
Per
depending on the community.
year?
Yes, per year. You're used to a month in the States, aren't you?
Well, yeah, some HOAs in the States, it's absurd.
Yes.
I would never personally do it, but okay, so about 600 to 1,000.
On the west side of the highway. If you come over to the golf course, it's a little complicated. You pay according to the percentage of the condominium regime in which you own. So that can range anywhere from $1,200 up to $2,000 a year, again depending on the size of the property.
And what amenities do they get? Does one side of the west side of the highway versus east side of the highway have more amenities or less amenities, or does everybody have access?
We're not divided. We're all one community here.
Okay.
If you're on the other side of the property, you come over here, pay golf at member rates.
Okay.
Come over and use the tennis courts over here or over there. Actually, they just set up a new area for pickleball, which is becoming more and more popular with the mature community.
Now, one thing that we know is that this San Felipe has really fast, high-speed internet. And that is, let's face it, it's 2018, and that's a nice feature for a community to have, or a city.
Well, especially in this day and age, a lot of people can work remotely. You don't have to go to an office to do your job.
Yeah, that would actually attract a lot of younger people who want to just have a more affordable, even I could say, some of these places are rather luxurious looking.
Yes, you'll see a variety as we move around, but we have people from all financial brackets, all backgrounds. You could be sitting at the restaurant or at the bar next to two guys, one on either side. One's living on his military disability, the other one's a millionaire, and you can't tell the difference, and nobody cares.
Yeah, that is the great thing when you're abroad. You're just a fellow traveler or a fellow open-minded person.
Do you have any restrictions on the properties, like age limits or things that you can't do with your property if you live in here?
Well, there are CC&Rs and building guidelines as far as using the resort respectfully and building respectfully. We don't have any age limits. No, we enjoy the family-oriented environment. When the holiday seasons come around and the family comes down to visit their parents here or their grandparents, it livens it up quite a bit. It's enjoyable.
And as for security, all the entrances to El Dorado Ranch have gates.
Yes.
So, you hate to say it, but it is a reality in many parts of the world where there's security issues. Like a lot of the homes outside of El Dorado Ranch, pretty much all of them have bars on the windows.
Well, it depends on your situation. Some of these other developments around here and so forth, you can be quite isolated, which leaves you vulnerable. But here we're very close to town. We have a large membership. There's a lot of activity. Since guns are highly regulated here, the crooks want to work in secret. They don't want to be caught or seen. But it's like any place you live. Bigger cities have more crime threats to be cautious about. Smaller towns have fewer.
Correct.
It's hard to be a crook in a small town because everybody gets to know you real quick.
Well, and we're from a small town in Alaska where everybody knows your business.
That's it, exactly. This is part of El Dorado. It's a cooperative between the developer and some American doctors who own condominiums here. And they set up this clinic for our owners and for any emergency use that might come forth. With your HOA dues come many free services there, such as you get a couple annual checkups a year and that kind of thing.
Wow, that's really cool. That's an amazing appeal for a lot of people who are aging and are going to have greater health needs or have concerns about potential health needs.
Just a convenience. You have medical services in town, but that's about 10 miles away, so if you have a traumatic injury, you want to get somebody who can monitor you and stabilize you as quickly as possible. So that's what they do until the ambulance can get up here.
And how do they handle medical evacuations? Helicopter? Because there's international borders involved if you need to get flown out to...
There are private insurance carriers such as Life Flight and so forth. But I've had several instances here to where we had somebody quite ill. He had pancreatic cancer unknowingly.
Oh, that's a bad one.
Came to a point here where he was falling down in my arms. I drug him over here. They got him hooked up with his oxygen and IV, keep him hydrated. Then we transported him to the doctor in town who said he had to go over to the other side. To put him in the ambulance with a doctor and cross him over the border was $200.
And there's a separate line for medical emergencies,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
So you're not sitting for 2 hours,
right?
roasting in a vehicle
to expedite the transition over the border. Yes.
And we were here at the swap meet on Saturday.
This is our new pool and tennis facilities. They were just completed a couple years back. The facilities down on the other side, which I really didn't take you by, weren't quite accommodating us during the holiday seasons when they had a lot of visitors and stuff here. So they charged everybody an assessment of, I think it was a couple $100 one year, and then they built this facility for the owners.
Do you guys allow, because I think I've seen them on Airbnb, people to rent out their places on Airbnb?
Well, they can rent out their place however they want. We do have a property management department here they can use, or it's your home. You can rent it whoever you want.
Okay.
You do want to coordinate with the homeowners association though, because they will need passes to get on property.
All right, because a lot of people are looking for an investment property / vacation home. Well, forgive any wind noise or unusual noises, and just keep in mind that this is real life YouTube. This isn't some super duper published TV show that we're doing here. This is just real life showing real people. So you got some showers, get cleaned off before you enter the
changing
pool.
Rooms and showers back here also, men and women separated, of course.
Yeah.
You got a general use pool, then the kiddie pool up there.
Is there a jacuzzi? Yeah, I see a
you put about
jacuzzi over here.
This
looks like a nice place to socialize.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of why you move to a destination like this.
Well, yeah, you can buy dirt anywhere, but who are you going to spend your time with when you're there? What are you going to do while you're there? The guys here kind of come up with their own activities. You might be a fishing enthusiast, you might like off-roading, and you end up meeting each other, meet guys who like to do what you like to do.
So are there a lot of social activities? Like, is that water aerobics going on there?
Water aerobics now. That's a specially designed pool for water volleyball.
Oh.
It has a constant depth across it.
Yeah.
Water volleyball, again, being low impact, is a lot of fun for the guys. It's a little more, they get to keep that competitive edge working in their psyche, but
yeah.
Safe, you know.
On their joints, so.
Yeah.
Nice. This is a beautiful place here.
You have an activity staff that's paid for by the HOA that will put on holiday events and daily card games, dominoes, simple stuff.
Yeah.
But then we have a lot of charity groups in town also. Here, the owners out here are really a part of this community. When you go out to dinner, you know your server by his first name, and you end up being invited to the kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun being part of the community in that manner.
Does El Dorado Ranch have any restaurants or bars that are part of the property? Or
yeah, there are 3. We have 2 operational now, and then they got a snack bar here at the pool, which serves simpler items.
And right over there are quite a few tennis courts, and then every Saturday morning there's a swap meet, flea market type of event. So if someone wanted to like just buy a property that was already built, like a house, what would they be looking at for the land and for a modest, maybe 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath home?
Well, again, there's a wide variety here. Our communities,
A range, of course.
Our communities are designed to satisfy different types of usage. As we mentioned earlier, the RV community, the RV enthusiast, was a big part of the growth here. So there were areas designed where you can incorporate an RV into the property and the structure. A nice thing there from a financial level is there's no square foot minimums to abide by on the structure. You can build as much or as little as you want. So you can kind of spread out building cost.
But what are you looking at for, like, is it maybe $50,000 for a home to up to $200,000 US dollars?
20. I got a little house for sale right now for 20 grand.
Really?
But it's got to be a modest, simple, self-contained situation. This isn't like your tract homes in the States. You can't walk into a neighborhood and say, okay, the houses here are worth $200,000. Everything's a custom home. Everything evolved differently.
So you could get something for as low as $20,000, but you're going to have solar. And do you have to get your own water?
Water's trucked in. You have a cistern or a water tank. A lot of the RVers use a water tank. For a home, you want an in-ground cistern, which is all part of the construction cost. To build a proper home, traditional type structure, you're looking at about $75 to $80 a square foot starting.
There we go.
But that includes your cistern, your septic, the utility setup.
And the folks watching can do the math from there.
For example, this is the first area that was ever opened here. Guys came down here, pulled their RV onto the thing. You see where the little buggy is there? The RV used to be in there. And then they build a patio. Next year they close in the patio. Next year they pull the trailer out and close in the ramada. Before you know it, you got a little house. This white one's a good example here. On the left, you can see the high roof was the ramada where the RV was parked.
Okay.
Then they had a patio in front of that. Then they enclosed the patio. And then later on pulled the rig out and closed the ramada. You end up with an enclosed living area.
Okay.
But then we have this side for folks who don't want that type of stuff next to them. Not to be offensive to anybody.
No, it's all preference.
Yes. And we try to design the communities to receive any preference.
So really anywhere from $20,000 on the bare minimum end up to $200,000. But
anywhere you want to go,
for $200,000, are you living large?
Like that.
Like, okay.
A common home around here would be a 2-bed, 2-bath, around 1,500 square foot.
Yeah.
But few people do build bigger, again, according to taste and budget.
And how expensive are the utilities during the off season versus during the dead of summer when you kind of have to cool things off? And swamp coolers, you have humidity here.
So the swamp cooler doesn't work. I see where you're going, It doesn't work, it's too humid.
Exactly.
The electricity here, a normal couple, you're going to spend about $50 a month on power. In the summertime, everybody worries about the cost of running their air, but the government in the desert regions in Mexico cuts the kilowatt hour cost down so that their citizenry can afford to run the electricity.
Subsidized?
I guess would be the word, yes.
I get it. I have always really liked the design of the homes in Mexico and Central America. You know, you have the rooftop.
Actually, this is part of our CCNRs also. You must maintain that Southwest Mexican hacienda type style.
Okay. So you can't come down here and build a mountain lodge?
Yeah, you can't have a log cabin or a postmodern.
That's a beautiful home.
Isn't it?
Sure is.
But again, as you can see, everything is completely different. So when you try to say, well, what does a house cost? It's like, well, how much do you want to put into it?
Exactly.
Is the answer.
Well, and that's where this cost per square foot, then people can do
you can pencil out the math real quick. And in most of our homes only areas, you do got to build 1,500 square foot. So you can do some rough math. You're looking about 120 to build your own place.
Okay.
A lot would cost you anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 with electricity. If If you wanted to go over to solar, now you're only talking anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000, depending on the size of the lot.
Are you allowed to have solar hookups or solar and still be on the grid for the summer months when you need to run air conditioning?
You can install a solar system. They just want the panels discreetly installed. They don't want them hanging off on the roof or on a giant pedestal.
But they still allow you to be hooked up because
of course.
Good.
All we're worried about is visual aesthetics.
Yes.
Some places aren't equipped to handle the back feed off of solar panels, so they don't let you have both.
Yeah, I also get questions of, and then the electric company will give you back any money that you're sending to them, but I don't think they've gotten that far yet. Most guys around here for 6, 7, 8 grand, you can put in a nice solar system that'll handle your basic needs. TVs, lights, your normal electronics don't take a lot of power.
So these are all off-grid?
This is a solar home, off-grid.
Okay.
They call it a solar subdivision.
All right.
That's actually built with straw bales, if you notice the texture.
Yeah.
Gives it a neat, natural effect. It blends right into the
And it's very well insulated.
Oh, yeah, hugely
That's
insulated.
why the indigenous culture used it in this part of the world.
Again, this is a solar area, so just because you're in a solar area doesn't mean you have to have a small house.
No.
Doesn't mean you're going to lose any of your creature comforts.
And you get water delivered, and what was that, 2,000 gallons for
About
roughly?
$40-45.
Okay.
That'll last a normal couple, about a month. So actually, utility-wise, water would be the only thing that might be more expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's a
just because of the delivery charge.
very mission-looking home.
Yeah, these are great ones here.
That's a separate little...
Yeah, a little mother-in-law place.
Okay.
Guest quarters.
And
where
you
the
guys...
friends have their privacy when they visit.
And the rules allow for one casita?
Well, it's single-family dwelling, but he happens to be on 3 lots here, so he can spread out a little bit.
But
that the garage on a lot, the house on a lot, and then that one on the third
That place
lot.
has a lot of character.
That one's been here for... Actually, that was there before I came to work here in '98.
Ooh, and a nice Baja bug in the garage.
Oh, you gotta have a little buggy around here.
Oh, yeah.
Some kind of toy, anyways. And then again, we're back to the simple. These guys are right across the street from each other.
Yep.
Again, the
No
RV
judgment.
areas, you don't have any square foot minimums. So here's a guy who started out with a nice, simple little thing, very small, very inexpensive to build. And if he wants to later, he can add on an extra bedroom on the back or what have you.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. A lot of angles. So again, it's all what you can imagine, what you can create.
And these are all off-grid.
Yes.
But can you still get internet ran to them?
Yeah, well actually that's what the antenna is right there. You see that little square antenna on the roof?
Let me zoom in on it. I do.
That's picking up the wireless signal down from the antenna in front of our place.
Oh.
That was set up by Telcel, the phone company.
Yes, yes.
And actually that system was set up especially for our needs out here.
Now, for people who have children, do they put them in the schools with the local children, or do they homeschool via the internet?
That's rare, but I have experienced both situations. I raised our kids here. When I moved out here to the ranch from town, our neighbor happened to have a young daughter, and they were homeschooling her. And I've seen other people move down here with kids, and they generally put them into the school system.
Oh, wow, that would be such a great cultural experience, because Rebecca did that in Dominica when her mom went to medical school there.
It's easy for the kids. They learn fast. Us old people, it's harder to learn the language, but kids just absorb it when they're playing together. You don't have to always be able to communicate to play, you know.
No,
that's where you learn.
But the language centers in the brain are not as shut down when they're young. I know that I grew up in Southern California, and that's where I just, from being around many Mexican friends,
you have a large Hispanic community.
Learned quite a few words, enough to hold my own. And
talk to the cuss words first.
Oh yeah, I can swear like a sailor, but it's not that hard to pick up, especially when you're immersed in a culture.
Well, that's the difference. Actually, a nice trick I found was the AAA Baja Guidebook. In the back of the book is a section called Useful Phrases While in Mexico. And it's categorized. Useful phrases you might need in a restaurant. Useful phrases you might need with a doctor. Once you learn your sentence structure, then you just plug in nouns as you learn.
Yeah, and then you learn to conjugate the verbs.
There you go.
And
what I wanted to point out
Google
here,
Translate is really nice. It's an app on your phone.
They didn't have that when I moved here. Here we are. We're 4 miles from the beach right now.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in on the ocean. Oh, Sea of Cortez.
A lot of people are concerned about, well, I got to buy on the beach so I can see the water. Well, no, you don't. The grade here is traveling about a 4% climb as you come away. You're climbing about 100 feet a mile. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times your views are actually better back here. Look up into the delta area to the left. You got a hell of a view back here.
Yeah. And especially when you get up on your rooftop.
Oh yeah, everybody's got a view deck on the house, you
exactly. Bet. So in talking about markets, I've heard from a couple people around town that now is a good time to buy in San Felipe.
Oh, it is definitely a buyer's market. Even the developer here on his properties, his prices are half of what they were in 2008. Again, just to accommodate to that market need.
Yeah.
We're talking about building costs earlier. If you're looking at 80 bucks a square foot, minimum 1,500 square foot, that's 120 grand. Lot's going to cost you another 20 to 30, 25 to 35, that range. So you're looking at 150,000 to build a house. We've been selling them over here for the last couple of years for 90, 110, 120. So if the house meets your needs,
yeah,
you jump right into it.
Okay.
Well, that's just the kind of the clientele we're seeing here anyways. The people who can afford to buy an expensive luxury product are typically guys who have access to their own cash. They got 100 grand laying around.
Exactly. And there is a certain amount of appeal to just walking into a place.
The convenience factor, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to wait.
Building a house wherever you are. It can be frustrating,
but yet fun because you get to design it to yourself, but it's going to come with a set of hassles.
Yes.
So is this an 18-hole full golf course?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what are the green fees for a member?
Well, it depends on the situation. For example, over here, the owners on the golf course, they get an annual pass for, I think it's $469. For somebody walking in off the street, you'll pay 40 bucks for a round and then $15 for your cart.
Okay. And then I noticed a lot of people scoot around on their side-by-sides and ATVs.
Oh, there's all kinds of off-road vehicles, yeah.
I already know the answer to this, but just so people know, no mortgage options. It's cash-only deals unless there's like a finance by owner deal.
Well, you can spread out costs with the contractor by paying in blocks during construction. Mm-hmm. What most people would do if they didn't have their own cash would take a mortgage out on their home in the States to build here.
Second.
You don't want to use the Mexican banks to try to mortgage. The interest rates are insanely high, yes.
Okay. That's always good, useful information. Yep. Is this the banquet hall?
Yeah, it's an event room.
Yeah.
Since
Looks
it's
like
all closed up here today, the ladies come in and
sewing club going on. There's a little stage, maybe a movie night or something.
Movie nights, sporting events, that kind of thing, yeah.
Nice. Okay, Bill, well now is the time when we get to share how people can find out more information about El Dorado Ranch and...
I got a short cable if you want to peek around the corner.
And who to talk to. Do they talk to you? Are you the main sales contact for them?
Well, the 800 number is 800-404-2599. Option 2 will bring you into the sales office.
ElDoradoRanch.com.
We'll direct your call from there. We also have LaVentanaDelMar.com,
which is the golf course community of El Dorado Ranch.
Right. When you get onto the home page of either one, either LaVentanaDelMar.com or ElDoradoRanch.com, click on Real Estate. And then click on resales, and that'll show you the structures we have offered for sale.
Oh, nice.
It's a quick roster list, and then if something looks interesting to you, get a hold of us, plan a trip down, and look at it.
Yeah, and so these are lots that can be built on and houses that are
We have both. We have undeveloped lots, and we also have structures to look at. Same thing, real estate. Resales.
Oh, great.
Hello?
And this focuses on the stuff on the other side of the highway, which again, there's more of a variety, as you said.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very, very much for your time.
Pleasure.
And, you know, if you guys have any questions about life down here below the border or more details about El Dorado Ranch, just give them a call. This video is a wrap. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this or travel and adventure from crazy places around the world.